Just wanted to ask you a little bit about you're drawing a lot more penalties than you're taking. Is that a discipline thing or just having the puck more thing?
A little bit of each. I mean, that was a goal of ours coming in. We wanted to make sure that I think that was the other way last year. We took way more penalties than power plays. So that's part of it. I still think we can do a better job of it. We took one. Yurko took a penalty there at the offensive blue line yesterday. There's some penalties that we can take out of our game, but if you can come out on the plus on that every night, that's not a bad position to be in.
With you got a couple of guys, Ethan Bear and Pearson, 1 and 2 in the first and second pairing. Like, pretty tough to go 1 and 4 if those young guys aren't holding up their end of the bargain. And a lot's on their plate.
They've both been pretty solid. They're the two guys they're playing with. They're both good players to start with. Clough and Nursey are good stabilizers for them, but they've jumped in. They've done a real respectable job. Bearsy's got a little more experience than Pearson, but Pearson's a smart player. He doesn't get himself in a lot of trouble. Moves the puck pretty well. So far so good with him.
A lot of guys are talking about the vibe in the dressing room, that just the mood is a lot better this year. To what extent are your two Calgary guys helping in that?
I think the biggest factor in that is you win a few games and everybody enjoying themselves. So, it's the mix of the room. We've talked about. I talked to a lot of people about the room. A lot of the things I got were quiet and kind of that direction. So we're trying to do some things to liven it up in there a little bit. And Neeler's always got something to say, so that's a good thing. So. No, I think it's more just you win a few games, everybody feels good about what they're doing, and you move on.
That's a big part of things too, because there's been a dark cloud kind of around this team for a while. So to just have that, a little bit of.
And we talked about that from the first day of camp, that we need a good start. I thought our training camp was solid, and I think we really took to heart that we wanted to start the season and get a good start. So it's early, but we've managed to put a few points on the board, and hopefully we can continue to build our group. I think there's a lot more growth left in this group. I'd like to see us. There's some stuff we can do a lot better than we've done on a more consistent basis, but so far so good.
You mentioned the growth. You've gotten your power play clicking, your top lines clicking. What have you seen from the opportunities that your secondary scoring has gotten so far?
Well, obviously Neeler's come in and give us some scoring there, which helps. There's potential in some guys. Yurko's had a pretty good training camp. Nygaard is getting some chances, hasn't scored as much as he'd like. But the depth for us coming, the Sheehan line has been pretty good, when he got back from injury. But they haven't scored a lot, but they really solidified our bottom end there with some strong penalty killing in that. So it's less about depth scoring as much as we want depth scoring, but it's players contributing without scoring or without getting on the scoreboard that has helped us with the top guys.
You're going to need that at a certain point, though, right?
Yeah. Every team needs it to a point. Now, you're going to. I mean, there's different things that happen on our team. Like you look at some teams have 2 power play groups that they get equal time. That doesn't happen with our group. Our big group, they spend a lot of time in the offensive zone with puck control. So the second group is usually a limited affair, so you don't have a lot of people getting power play points from a second group. But when you have, you got 3 or 4 key players on that top group, you might as well use them.
Right.
It's weird to say when the guy's leading the league in scoring, but you can win without Connor McDavid having to be great, which is a good sign.
Well, we need everybody to contribute, and obviously there's some people that get a lot more accolades than others. That's the way it is. But you don't win championships. You don't win on a consistent basis unless you play like a team. I think hockey is one of the ultimate team sports, and unless you play well as a group, you're not going to win.
You mentioned how you felt that you needed to get off to a good start. Is that just simply to make sure that mentality that's been around this team didn't come back right away this season? Like, it's hard to shed it once it's there.
No, we want to be a playoff team, You don't start well, you're chasing it all year. We wanted to get off a good start because we want to be a contender to be a playoff team. If you get behind the 8 ball, you got no chance. Well, I shouldn't say you got no chance. St. Louis had a chance, but I'm just, yeah, I'm
all
just,
under the bridge now.
yeah. I don't like the chances doing that. I'll take my chances on starting well rather than in January being where they were.
Safe to say you're going to see a rested team tomorrow with a week.
Yeah, you know what? I think early in the year you recognize who you're playing, and like last night we recognized that New Jersey was going to be a desperate team, and they played well. And this morning I got up and watched it. They played hard. They were a desperate team. We weathered some storms there and got through it. But the other side, I think the Rangers are going to be anxious to play. So I haven't really looked at them yet. I'll look at them a little bit today, but. Without playing for a week, I'm sure they're anxious to get going.
In your past history and watching guys like Mika Zibanejad and Artemi Panarin, what do you think's allowed them to get off to the start that they've had in terms of point production?
I haven't even watched their game, so I couldn't tell you.
Gotcha.
They're good players.
Have you named a starter or anything for tomorrow? Have you talked to
We're going to talk to Schwartzy after tonight. Both guys got some good work today, so we'll see where it is.
And just a maintenance day for Leon today?
You want to get some guys in tomorrow. You do have 2 guys sitting out that have to play eventually.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, we'll look at some adjustments here, just depending on a couple of nicks and things, and see where we are tomorrow.
Are you a different guy now compared to a couple years ago? Like just the time that you spent away from the rink, are you coaching differently at all?
My handicap went down. That's different. I don't know if I'm coaching any different. I watched a lot of hockey the last 2 years, and I'm probably different than what I ended in Arizona. I was frustrated there. I was there a long time and just decided I needed a break, and so that part of it is I'm enjoying life a lot more right now. So that part of it has changed, but the hockey part of it, there's some different things that I've thought about for the last couple of years that I would try, and we tried some of them and tried to instill some of those. So I have some different thoughts than I had 2 years ago, which are those are fun things from a coaching standpoint. Because they're challenges. It always looks good when you write it on the board or write it in a book, but then you try to put it into action. It's a little different, So some of that stuff is, I think, as you get older and more experienced, you're looking for challenges. You're looking for things that not just challenge you, but challenge the main standards in the game to see if you can find something that's the next thing to find rather than just copying everybody else.
Dave, I know it's been a short experience coaching Connor McDavid, but in the first 4 games and obviously training camp and preseason, what is it that's something that may be underrated about him or something that everybody knows that makes him so great each and every night?
His talent is phenomenal, but I think it's his concept of wanting to win and wanting to really, wanted to win as a group rather than and carrying the whole load on his shoulders. I think he's feeling comfortable with this group that everybody has to contribute, and himself included. He takes that responsibility of being a top player, but he also recognizes the need for the rest of the team to be a team and do their part if we're going to be a winning team. So that's a big. He's a real good team player, and a real student of the game. Things like that. Things that. It's easy to watch the highlights and score these unbelievable goals or set up goals, but when you get in the trenches with him, and he's figuring out how to win and how a team needs to win and how to lead a team. Those are things that, as you're around him day after day, you're impressed by those.
So Leon Draisaitl's this guy that's going from being one of the best players on the Oilers to now being one of the best players in the game. You guys probably. Yeah. Are you just coaching him for a short time here? Are you learning stuff? Are you seeing stuff you didn't know? Is the rest of the league learning some things about this guy? What do you think?
I think the rest of the league knows he's a really good player. I mean, he got a lot of accolades last year for the 50 goals, so that puts him on a plateau there. But I think there's a lot more to his game than goal scoring. Like, to me, it's been fun to watch him dig into the times where we really needed to. It's not about offense part of the game. Like, we had a 5-on-3 against LA the other night, and he's the guy out there, the one forward out there, and he's loving that. Like, that's a challenge for him, you know. So there's more to his game than scoring goals. You know, I think those two top players feed off each other. They enjoy that, but he's another one, just like Connor. Like, he wants to win. He wants to win, and he's willing to do those other things to help us win, other than just scoring goals or personal accolades.
What do you like about Cassian with those two guys?
Cass is an underrated player with his skill. He's got decent skill, good hands, he's got good vision. He's a big guy that'll go to the net, and if need be, he can keep the flies off him.
Can he skate better than you thought?
His skating is fine. I mean, you got to remember, he's a first-round draft pick. Okay, he's a big, strong guy that's had some challenges, but he's come through it, and he's a big part of our team in there. He's a good player and a good guy in the room.